Okay, let's start this. We are live, live on YouTube and here. Welcome to another Fabschools webinar, workshop, whatever you want to call it. Yes, we are trying to illustrate whatever's happening behind this call, and we are trying to bring inspiration to all those who want to apply. The motto is making education makers at home, and it's mostly inspired by our recent COVID crisis, but it I can say, I don't know if I can say this, it kind of carries a big tradition of maker education, you know, learn by doing, project-based education, and all these concepts that are embedded into Fab Labs and into the education world of Fab Labs. It was almost impossible not to bring up this team, this great team from Fablab Barcelona, the Future Learning Unit, with a wonderful name too, and in which there are high hopes into the education of the future and of our education of our children and in children, and okay, we deposit a lot of confidence in your experiences, in your research. So I hope you can also, I hope to see great projects from you in the future, and in the past, I hope to see them today, and I hope you also talk about the near future. Please inspire our audience and our future audience in our YouTube stream and recording. Santiago, Fuentemilla, and Xavier Dominguez from Fablab Barcelona, welcome, and thank you very much for your availability. Okay, and the word is yours. Please enlighten us with your experience at Future Learning Unit in Fablab Barcelona, and maybe explain us what are you dealing with, and what are you conspiring about there in your unit.
I like the word conspiring.
Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah,
I will start. Maybe we will do a short introduction about, well, ourselves, let's say, before start with a kind of more formal presentation, and hopefully we will have some questions from the attendances, and then maybe at the end we will switch to our social networks, because there's some like projects and activities and, let's say, like experimentations that we are doing there, but we don't have it like registered somehow in a way that we can put it in the presentation. But I think so they are valid nowadays, that we should move fast in terms of how we can reach like everybody attention in terms of the educational point of view. So this year it give us a great opportunity to try a lot of things, and today we will explain some of them. So by the way, first of all, so my name is Santi Fuentemilla, and my background is architecture, and this is basically one of the reasons that I get in contact, let's say, with IAC at the beginning, like more than like 12 or 30 years ago. I was starting my PhD, and well, actually I started like with the 3D printing idea. How can 3D printing can help to design and do scale models and represent architectures. So I get in contact with the Fablab Barcelona. Then I met Tomás, and Tomás opened the Fablab doors, let's say, to me. And there I discovered like completely like a new world for me, the digital fabrication world, and also the Fab Lab ecosystem, let's say. I did Fab Academy, and since I did Fab Academy, I get stuck there, let's say. And let's say a little bit of the progression inside, let's say, Fablab Barcelona. So I start like doing like small collaborations in the Fablab Barcelona, mostly related to activities. I would not say educational one, more like activities, let's say, random activities for companies or also for people, let's see. And slowly I start like getting in touch with the educational point of view. So doing workshops, doing other things. I get the opportunity to be like Fab Lab instructors in Fablab Barcelona together with Ferdi. And after that, basically we start developing every, let's say, more like strongly this idea that if we're gonna do like education, or if we're gonna talk about learning, so why we don't like create like a focus group inside the Fablab Barcelona that can like put all the effort on researching about what we do, basically, not like trying to invent new things. It's like, first, let's see what we do, that we been doing these things for a lot of time, let's say, thanks to Fab Academy, let's say, and then how we can like export whatever it happens in the house to outside other environments, let's say schools, or let's say companies, or let's say, and then, well, that was the beginning of Future Learning Unit. And thanks to Xavi and other people that let's say incorporated in this group, we start thinking about methodologies and how we can, let's say, frame everything a little bit, polish, let's say, and this is right now, well, why we are here right now. A little bit of my history, let's say, in the Fablab Barcelona, and then Xavi, you can explain your point.
Okay, yeah, my name is Xavi Dominguez. I'm multimedia engineer, but also I'm entrepreneur. Since I found my own company 16 years ago, and I was working as an entrepreneur and as a software developer in this company for 15 years. But at some moment, I realized that I was not happy doing this job, and then I decided that I should change. And this moment was when my kids also born. And then I found that Fab Labs exists, and then my brain was like, wow, what is happening here? That's why I decided to do Fab Academy. And at this moment, it was when I met Santi, and I fall in love really with the Fab Lab, with the Fablab Barcelona, but also with the maker movement, and also the way that we are doing in Barcelona. That's why I tried to be part of the team, and Santi told me, okay, you can join. That's the moment. We can hack the system. We can hack the education. It was like this. And it was my idea, how we can hack the system, how we can hack the education, how we can try to create or try to build capacities in people in order to be more, not to be more, but in order to be more digital social innovators. Okay, so that's the idea. Okay, I joined the team 4 years ago, I think, and we start building this team that now we are like 6 people, more or less. And this is more or less my background. Sandy, I'm gonna share my screen, so that's the moment that you can explain Fablab Barcelona. Okay, I think now it's working. Yeah.
Okay, so let's start from, let's say, almost the beginning. So Future Learning Unit is a, let's say, group inside the Fablab Barcelona that at the same time is inside another like big institution that is the IAC, Institute for Advanced Architecture of Catalonia, that is, let's say, a university of master degrees. I'm saying this because sometimes it's a little bit confusing. So as a Fab Lab, we was like founded in 2007. So we are one of the, let's say, first ones in the European Union. And we also have we actually coordinate Fab Academy program globally. That is one of the main programs that we have at the house. In terms of Ajax, we have like 3 campuses right now. There's 2 in Poblenou and another one in Valldaura. The Valldaura campus is located to Collserola Natural Park. This is in Barcelona. It's surrounded between, let's say, I would not say mountain, I would say hill and the sea. So in the hills, let's say, there's an old building that we remodeled some time ago, and we added also a Fab Lab inside. And have these 3 locations allows us to basically distribute, let's say, the research areas a lot. and also like focus the different like Fab Labs in different, let's say, fields. In that case, Valldaura brings us the opportunity to work closely with the idea of circularity, energy, agriculture, how we can like use like technology in all of these fields, and how we can use like the resources that are there, that are in the, let's say, in the forest, that are near to us, to, thanks to the technology, how we can transform that for architecture or for non-architect, for other projects. If we go to a little bit of the history of the Fablab Barcelona, I like to put like this slide because it summarizes a little bit the effort that a lot of people did. I cannot say how many people like passed through Fablab Barcelona or make part of the team, but it's more than 200 for sure. People, I'm saying people that work here somehow. And we started in 2007, I already say. It's like we set up the Fab Lab together with, let's say, with support of CBA, the Center of Bits and Atoms in MIT in Boston, with this idea also to how we can basically start like a distributed program that at that moment was like how to make almost anything, that it was basically as an experiment or as a pilot, like turn it to Fab Academy. Okay, and then okay. Yeah, sorry, Xavi. Just for the people know, Xavi is like sharing the screen and I'm talking, so this is why sometimes there's a little bit of a gap. And then you can see like all the different steps, or the, let's say, the highlights of each year that or the milestones that bring us of like what we are right now. And some of them, I think so, I will mention it. This idea of, for example, in 2010, we built like an entire house in the Fab Lab just to bring to the next level what Fab Lab can do. At that point, the Fab Labs were like digital fabrication laboratories to allow people doing things. In that, with that project, we wanted to explain to people that Fab Lab can do almost anything, and if it's a house, it's a house. So we joined like a, let's say, a competition, architectural competition, where we basically challenged to build an entire house. In 2011, so Tomás Díaz was starting like, or he launched like the Fab City, a global initiative that we will talk after that. That nowadays it basically explore, let's say, how the Fab Labs impact in the, let's say, city scale, let's say, and a little bit more. In 2030, we self-incubate our first project that bring us a lot, let's say, a lot in everything. But so, I mean, not just like in terms of a project or knowledge, also bring us the possibility to start like new European projects, new collaborations. So you will see it now in one of the projects that we will explain. So it brings us in a way to understand how citizens have to be part of, let's say, or have, let's say, the key of the real changes. And this project is a Smart Citizen. It's a kind of like a environmental like sensor platform, let's say, hardware and software. It's everything combined. And then in 2014, that's, I would say, like a good, let's say, milestone in the history. We basically host the Fab Lab event. Let's say every year Fab Labs host join to let's say a global event where everybody like goes there and share like knowledge, experiences and everything. So in 2014 we hosted in Barcelona, and it brings us, let's say, the possibility to go one step more in the Fab City project, because we had the commitment with the city council to basically really push for the sustainability of, to turn like the city of Barcelona in a kind of like a more sustainably point of view. So this, it means that to try to reduce or the things that we buy and start like producing at house, let's say house as a Barcelona, as a city, let's say half of 50% of what we import. So it was a kind of like a change in terms of like paradigm that in 2040 we had the possibility to do it. And then, I mean, maybe we can skip the next the other parts, but take a look, because it summarizes a little bit our milestones, and I like to put it here. Okay, I think so. I don't have to explain about the Fab Lab wall, but probably I don't know when it was updated, this slide, but we are probably more than 2,000 Fab Labs around the world, and almost like each country, I would say. And this is the real power of the Fab Labs. It's not the idea that there's machines or people, is that it's everything interconnected, and it's this idea that everything it joins forces to fix like real problems. And from our point of view, and this is not this is not because we are, let's say, from the educational point of view. So one of the, let's say, key points in this idea of like cohesion of the network is the idea that there's like an educational program that joins like all the Fab Labs. And this educational program is the Fab Academy, that have the ability to basically put everybody in the same, like let's say I don't know, stack, let's say, in terms of like how do people understand the Fab Labs and what kind of things you can do. So if you did Fab Academy, or if your Fab Lab like is doing Fab Academy, you can see it, what's the potential of this. Okay, so yeah, maybe we can part this. Yeah, some partners that we work with them. So as we told, we try to increase our network, and we like to collaborate with as many people we have. Sometimes are big, sometimes are smaller. I would say that it doesn't depend of the names. It will depend for us in which kind of projects we can do, and which kind of impact we can have. As much impact and as much we can change and help like society, it's our goal. So I will not go to. These are the strategic areas that nowadays Fablab Barcelona have, and it's based on all of this history that I explained it a little bit before. This is not something that we basically sit down and did a kind of like design thinking workshop to come up. It was like based on the projects that we was working on and the interest of the people that is inside the Fab Lab, let's say the employees and the people, collaborators. Their interest, we basically set up like different areas, let's say, where we basically are contributing most, and these strategic areas are productive cities, sense making, distributed design, future learning, ecological interactions, materials and textiles, and emergency futures. And all of them, of course, they are interconnected. So these are not separated lines. Of course, all the projects like touch somehow, probably most of them, but it's true that we try to extract the knowledge of the different projects that we are doing in the Fablab Barcelona and basically put it or align it in these like strategic areas. And our area is the future learning, and this is why we call it like future learning here. These are some numbers that, again, a little bit of history of Fablab Barcelona, but we are more than 85 million in research and innovation projects coming from European projects, most of them, but not some other ones come from projects that we already started here or incubated. But it's just like a overall map of what kind of like projects we did and we are doing actually. And we arrived to the future learning area or group. So here we are right now. These are the, let's say, activists in the learning part in the future in the Fablab Barcelona, and I will pass the, let's say, I don't know, to Xavi, because he will explain it a little bit better.
Okay, perfect. So this is our definition, and we as a future learning unit, we are the Fablab Barcelona Action Research Group, and we are focused in demonstrating with evidence, and this is important, with evidence, that if something that we already know, all of us, that if we accompany people with the methodology, with the resources, with the technology, they can learn and develop key skills and competencies for an uncertain future and become digital social innovators in order to respond the challenge that we have actually, and also the challenge that the UN proposes in the Sustainable Development Goals. And for us, this is important because everything that we do, all the research, all the projects, all the academies, all the programs, all the products that we design goes around this, about how to build the environment, how to create the space for the people to develop and learn these skills and competencies. Okay. And how we do this, of course, we don't have a single recipe. Okay, this is something that when someone asks, how do you do this? Depends of the person, depends of the people, depends of the team, depends of the project, depends of the space. But what we know is that there are some essential ingredients that helps us and are necessary in order to lead and to go to a better learning. And these ingredients are the creativity, the STEAM, but the STEAM with the A, okay, with the R, the learning by doing, the social innovation. In all our projects, there's a challenge. There's a challenge that that matters. With the, of course, we are makers. So, of course, in our programs, in our products, and our projects, the maker education, the maker philosophy, it's inside. Of course, with experimentation, but of course with materials and technology. So these are the ingredients that depends of the project, depends of the program, of the research part. We combine different in order to, again, and I put again, in order to create the space and create the environment to develop key competencies. Okay. And as a group, of course, we have principles, and the principles are these ones. Okay, we always do research bottom up, and we always do this in community. That's important. We co-create, we co-design, we co-all everything with people, because this is about people. This is not about machines. This is not about technology. This is about people. We believe in the open knowledge. So we all the content that we create, it's open, and it's in our repository or in the Fablab Barcelona repository or in the social media or whatever. And we are part of a local community, not just the maker movement community, but also the educational communities with teachers communities, local communities. But we know that we are part of a global network. So that's super important, because sometimes when we develop something here, we can share, and then someone from another part of the world can apply, but in the other way too. Sometimes when we try to find a solution for a problem, sometimes we go to the global network and try to, okay, these guys, they did it like this in their country, locally. Let's gonna try to use, reuse, or remix, and then apply it here locally, okay? And also working in this concept of the learning ecology, knowing that the learning happens everywhere, happens when you are at home, happens when you are in the lab, but also happens when you are playing in the playground, when you are in the, I don't know, traveling or doing a beer with a friend. So this idea of learning ecology is important for us, and you will see later that with the COVID has special relevance. Also, all the projects have a challenge, and the challenges are always around the social innovation. We try to think about how the people can become social innovators and entrepreneurs. Okay, And this challenge goes around the social and environmental challenge. And of course, we are inclusive. And we are inclusive. Of course, there are some frameworks, some methodologies, and some resources to be more inclusive. But our approach is we try to design always projects and programs open enough that everybody can feel comfortable if they are part of these projects. And it means that sometimes when you talk about gender equality or something like this, in all of our projects, the girls and the boys can feel their place, but not also the girls and the boys. Different people, different ages, different backgrounds, they can find in this project the space to design or to participate or to propose something that is super interesting for them. And this is important, not only to be inclusive, but also to engage the people. That is a key point. Also, if you want to create learning in someone, you need to engage them. Because once you have engaged them, then you can start like giving some instructionals and guides and tools that can help them. Okay. This is our learning ecosystem, if you want to say like this. So we do action research. We have learning programs, learning experiences, academies, master, residence, and incubator research. And also, we try to always to put the focus in the personal development. And sometimes it could be something expressed when you have a learning experience, when you have a workshop for 2 hours. Of course, you cannot arrive to adapt or to learn a new skill, but at least a little bit something express something fast you can find in our programs. Also, this is more intensive or it's immersive. The personal development then is better. So when you have someone full-time working or thinking in a specific challenge, the learning happens. And our learning stages, or something that we have detect, is that have three stages. The instructional part, that is the moment when someone adopts a new learning, or when they are trying to understand what is happening, why we can use this. The second stage is the guided part. Once you give more freedom to the person or to the team, or to the people that participate, is that the moment that they adapt this knowledge, this training, and they start like thinking how they can use it. And then the last step is the autonomous part, is when they apply, and it's the moment that we leave the project. So when our attendants, our students, the people that participate in our projects arrive to the autonomous part, is the moment that we can leave, because then it's going to be sustainable for the future. This is our learning dimensions, the learning that we try to train in our programs, and we divide in 6 different ones. Of course, the making skills and the making skills development, also the creativity, the problem solving, the critical thinking, but also the circular collaborative skills that we say that is super important. So do it in community, do it for someone that matters for all of us as a community, and also to create the social engagement, so the social and emotional engagement. So these are the learning dimensions that we work in our projects. Of course, not in all the programs. Depends of the situation, depends of the goals of the learning goals of the project, but at least this is our map. And this is more or less the summary of all the projects that we have right now. Of course, the Fab Academy, the Fabric Academy, the Making for Change, that it's focusing in a school, in formal school until higher education. Of course, also in circular economy, we are part of the Pop Machina European project that tries to put the maker education and the circular economy to create social innovators and to facilitate the transition to a circular economy. Of course, we have also the Master for Design and Emergent Futures, and some residencies like the Teachers in Residence. That is a program that we start this year, and we are trying to push for the next year, because this year we at that moment we need to stop because of the COVID. That we try to invite teachers to our lab and be part of the team and learn by doing and learning by doing. Okay, and of course we have some projects and products that we can consider like a incubator research. This is also the way that we are sustainable in terms of economics. So we have money from the European projects, but also from academies, and also from some products and services that we do for private companies. Santi, do you want to explain NDF?
Yeah, now we go to the, let's say, explain a little bit or highlight some of the learning programs that we have, and we will start for the Master in Design for Emergent Features. This is I would say new learning program from the house, let's say, but I mean it's 2 years now. It have 2 years. It's 2 years old, let's say. So we are doing this master together with Elisava, and basically we try to explore like the, let's say, what it will come in the future and how we can design, let's say, base it on that, let's say, seeds or trends that we see that it will come. This includes like technology, but includes like other kind of like design understandings. And for us, it's actually really important because we include like Fab Academy inside the master as, let's say, the tooling part of the master. So we are offering like Fab Academy as the, let's say, the base, technology base for students like start like applying this knowledge in the coming like futures, let's say. And then we have Fab Academy that I talked a lot, but for the ones that you don't know, that's the, let's say, distributed digital fabrication course that happens like from, I will say, I cannot say like all Fab Labs around the world, but I think the last edition was like 40 Fab Labs. All of them like together like connected for a period of 6 months. And it's basically divided in weeks. Every week there's a different assignment where the students like learned not just like digital fabrication tools, that also like how to design for the digital fabrication, how to basically manage time. So there's a lot of like learnings dimensions involved in this program. But the idea is that it happens like in the different like Fab Labs as, let's say, a nodes that they connect like every week together. They, let's say, like share what they learn, and then basically during the other part of the week, let's say, they work, let's say, individually, and they connect it again every Wednesday, let's say. And this is how it works from global to locally. And I think so it's very beautiful because as I mentioned it, it's let's say, for me, it's the glue of the network, of one of the, let's say, key factors of why this Fab Lab network is so like cohesive, let's say, or let's say close, or they really share. And then because it demonstrates like something very nice, that is the Fab Lab as the Fab Labs as let's say digital fabrication laboratories are it's true that we can, it's something that happens that we always say, but here we can see it, is like the Fab Labs is digital fabrication laboratories that locally they basically make themselves, let's say. So each Fab Lab is different. It depends of where it's located, let's say, and the environment that it surrounds. And this you can visualize in this learning program. So all the, let's say, assignments of weekly assignments are the same, but the results of it depends of each student and each like casuistics or the day of the students. So this is the beauty of doing a distributed global program. Xavi, can you continue? I will.
Yeah. So also we have Fab Academy, that is the academy that works with materials, with wearables, and with textile that Anastasia leads here in Barcelona. Also, we have some European projects like Do It. Do It is an EU project that tried to analyze which are the key points to convert young people in digital social innovators, entrepreneurs through maker education. Okay. Later we will explain some of the pilots that we did as an example of projects that we develop. Also, we have the POM Máquina U project that also again explains or try to give the key points or the solutions to the transition of the citizens from the actual economy to the circular economy through makers, through Fab Labs, through maker spaces. We in this part we are leading the POM Máquina Academy. So we are building these skills and competences for the local maker champions of 7 cities, and these are the 7 cities that we have in this project from different parts of Europe. And with this approach that we go with them since the beginning until they are autonomous, more or less. So since they don't have the space until they have the community around this maker space, and trying to give some training, some learning based on our own experience, and trying to give some content in order to engage the community, to build this community at the beginning. That's the part that we call instructional, and then we move to the guided part or the guided stage when they are building this community around some topics about circular maker spaces. That's the part that we call the circular maker clubs. The topics could be textile, could be plastic, could be repair, reuse, until the end, the last part that we call the liquid circular maker space. And it means that the maker space of these cities will change since they start after 2 years, because the community change, the technology will change, and also their experience. What else? We have the Creative Minds project that is an Erasmus Plus project, again, working with students from different cities in Europe with this idea of design and create products and develop these entrepreneurial skills using the maker education, the Fab Labs or maker spaces as a tool for them to have a product at the end of the project. What else? We have the Fab Labs for Zero. That is the European project that finished last year. And the idea was to join the power of the Fab Labs with the photonics technology. And we did some pilots and workshops with students from different schools and also from different ages. For me, one of the projects that I like more is the Maker Ambassadors, that we try to empower kids with some difficulties in non-formal education with the maker philosophy, with tools, with training. What else? We have the Making for Change, a really cool project that we have in the house that try to bring this idea of the Fab Academy to the Fab Lab schools. To the schools in Spain, in order to accompany them with the decisions that they should take in order if they want to use machines in their schools, but also giving the training. But the most important part is building this community around maker education and formal education. Okay, it's something that we started 2 years ago and still is working. Another project that we already explained is the Teachers in Residence. We try to invite teachers from formal education to our lab to be like interns, in terms of, okay, instead of create a program for teachers, let's gonna try to invite them to the lab and be part of the team, with this idea that they can learn by doing, and they can learn with our ecosystem, with our special ecosystem that we have in the Fab Lab, that we have people around the world. We have people with different background, artists, architects, journalists, designers, engineers, and how they can integrate in our team with the idea that at the end they can go to the school and apply this methodology, this philosophy in the classroom. Also, a project that is called Meet Talent, that try to apply. It's an intensive program that we do with the Barcelona Center of Design. And it's an immersive and intensive program that we develop in 1 week. And they come to the lab, they have a challenge, and they come to the lab to prototype an idea and create a product, and then sell this product to a jury in order to give a solution to this challenge, to the challenge. Also, we design workshops for some museums, like the Science Museum in Barcelona. We design workshops for companies. This is the other part of the unit that try to have some income from the private, and the way that we do is with this one, with designing workshops for others. And also some research projects that we can explain later, maybe like Crocopoi or 3D printing with biomaterials, working with AI and education, how we can apply the AI with the maker movement, with the maker technology, to create products that the kids or the students can use in their classroom. We have a specific group for this. And maybe now we can explain in deeper or with maybe non-formal way, something now we can interact.
Andre, you can cut us whenever you want. Eh?
Yeah, Andre.
Oh, no.
We are in.
I won't do it. I won't
just for
do
you
it.
to know, we are in half of the in the middle of the presentation.
Yeah, and
okay.
we are in the middle of the time. Don't worry.
Okay, perfect. So then we can start explaining the measuring our environment. So, Santi, you can explain this.
Well, this is a project that we.
Santi, you are muted. I can explain if you want. Okay, perfect. So during the Do It European project, we create different pilots with the idea of, okay, again, build social innovators, build entrepreneurs through maker education. Okay, so we create like an ecosystem that we apply in the pilots. We had 2 schools in formal education and 1 foundation that works in a non-formal education with kids with some difficulties. Okay, and then we as a unit try to create these projects. The challenge again is training social innovators. How? With STEAM, with maker education, with entrepreneurial skills, building community with them, but also between them. We design 3 pilots. One it's called measuring our environment. The other one is growing our environment. And the last one was filling our environment. With this idea of the data, how important is the data? How important is to know and the environment that we have to find solutions, to bring solutions to any specific problem. Okay. In that case, the methodology that we follow is the learning by doing. This is something that is not new. So we have 4 stages. The first stage is research and trying to map the problems that they have, co-design, do a prototype for a solution, then co-create and fabricate this solution in order to become a product, and also document all the process and present this to the community. These are the stages that we follow in all of our pilots. In that case was the 23 kids from a formal school in Badalona. They were in 14 years old, and what we wanted to try also is what is the difference between do an immersive program that you can do in 3 days full time, or do it in 3 months, but just 2 hours a week. Because there are some difference. There are something that works better with one methodology and someone that works better with the other. Okay. these were all the units that we follow with them. In that case was the problem. The challenge was, okay, you are part of a school. Probably you will have problems in that schools, problems that you can fix. And our commitment with them was, okay, you should identify which is the problem. We are here to support you, to accompany you, giving all the material resources, training that you need, but you are the responsible of the project. So you should go until the end, because if you arrive at the end, we will be there with the people that can fix this problem. Okay, and it was super nice because the type of problems that arise were completely different. There are some of them that they were working in the problem with the water in the school. There are some of them that work with the problem that they have a lot of homework, and this is super nice. Also, that some of them they work with the problem that the classroom are super noisy. First, because they create noise, but also because they are close to a bus station, so they cannot study because in summer they cannot open the windows. So it was a problem for them. So we created like the methodology. First, define which are the problems. Also trying to understand what is the data. And for this, we use the Smart Citizen Kit, a kit that we developed here in the Fablab Barcelona by the SENS group. And we use it as a tool for, okay, what does it mean data, no? So we create like a game for them. We hide the Smart Citizen Kits in the school, and we gave them just a map, a graph, sorry, which they should understand, and trying to identify, okay, with this data, with this information, the smart system should be in this classroom, maybe in the patio, maybe in another part of the school. They should try to find. We call this the treasure hunting. Once they understand the data, they understand the problem, they start building their prototypes, and was super nice because the first session was, okay, let's gonna prototype your product with the craft material that you have here around, but also after this, we bring them to the lab, and then they can digital fabricate the product. So they design and also fabricate the product, and also they use the electronics. They learn how to solder something, how to design something for 3D printing for the laser cut. So it was an interesting program. It was during 3 months, more or less. And at the end, this is some of the products that they developed. The first one was a water filter, because they have they say that they have a problem with the water, so they design a water filter they can apply in the toilets. Also the noise visualization, and it means in the yellow one was the noise inside the classroom, and the other one was the noise outside the classroom. And the last one was the homework meter, because they say that they have a lot of homework in the school, and it's a problem for them because they need to they cannot do another thing, just this. So they designed this. The team from the Noisy was super cool because at the end of the session, all the groups can present the solution that they propose to the problem that they have. And for this presentation, we bring all the people from the municipality in Badalona, also some people from the bus company, and they explain that they have this problem. They explain that, for example, the laws in Badalona say that the level of noise cannot arise in the schools at this, I don't remember exactly the number, but at some number. And the kids show them that the noise was higher than this. So now the good point is that the municipality with the bus company, they decide to put all the electronics, no, how do you say, bus.
They change the regular buses for, let's say, electrical buses, so the ones that do less noise.
So it was an example of how to empower youngs, that they find a problem, they find a solution, they propose a solution, and at the end they won, if you want to see like this. They showed, they demonstrate that they can be innovators. Okay. Another project that we have was the Making Grow.
Xavi, you forget to say something here.
Yeah,
is that they put like they show the internal and external like noise level, because during the research part they discovered that sometimes they was creating more noise inside than outside. So they was complaining about, oh, we cannot like listen and attend the classes properly because, you know, the buses are doing like a lot of noise. And when we start measuring what was happening inside and outside, they figure out that sometimes they were the problem. So this is why they come out with ideas like, well, maybe apart from, you know, measuring the, let's say, the levels and see from the, let's say, laws or the, let's say, if they are increasing and then we will contact whatever, we have to do a kind of like campaign inside the school to visualize that we have to also, we are part of the problem. So these kind of like discovers or, you know, learning like outcomes are cool. And then from the homework meter, I think so it summarized these 3 projects that we was trying to do, like a kind of like this idea that we have always in mind. It's like design learning programs, or let's say experiences or educational programs where the people like will, let's say, figure out the problems that they want to tackle or try to solve, and they will, you know, create their own, let's say, project, let's say, and we will support them during the process. This idea that Xavi was explaining before. It's like, this is not that we tell them like, we will work just about environmental data because we will use making a smart citizen kit. It's like, no, we will propose you, or we will show you different tools. One of them is also digital fabrication and everything that goes around. But let's find something that interests you and basically that matters to you, and let's try to go there and propose a solution and go until the end and test it and do all the process.
And this is linked with the idea that we explained at the beginning, to be inclusive, to engage the people, to engage the students, because we bring a lot of materials, different materials. We give them some tools, some resources. We talk about coding, we talk about design, but as you can see, the projects are completely different. And when you arrive to a place with 23 kids with different projects, as a facilitator, you should be super, you should to have everything under control a little bit, but not everything, because then you are there to guide them. At some moment, maybe you need a PCB because they want to work with coding and the noise, but the others wants to work with 3D printers. So at the end, you should have different material, different tools with this idea to be open in the final solution. Okay, and with the proposal of the kids. Okay, maybe we can go fast now, Santi. Maybe we can explain the.
Yeah, I mean,
the last one.
Maybe let me summarize the past one just a little bit. So in this idea, this was like another like school and in the same project of Do It, with the same idea of like using like data to understand the surroundings, let's say, or the environments and apply it. In that case, we was working with a different context, let's say. So we was working with let's say, school, and we bring them to Valdaura. So let's say here, the idea was to understand, let's say, about natural environments. And the challenge for them, it was a little bit different because it was not like inside, let's say it was not a long-term like experience. It was like a compressed and a shorter, let's say. It was 3 days in a row where they work basically 8 hours a day in this challenge. And the challenge was to basically understand Valdaura environment, make something to take some of the, let's say, plans on Valdaura, then create the device to monitorize what the conditions that the plants live, and then bring it to the, let's say, school and start there a kind of how it calls a huerto, garden, let's say.
Huerto, yeah.
That was more or less the challenge. So they had to figure out all of these things. So build something that can transport the plants, and also like a sensor device that monitors the conditions, let's say, for them to make sure that the conditions that are happening in the nature, they can replicate somehow closely to the, let's say, school environment. And that's it. And we can go to the other one, that is the third one.
This pilot was completely different from the other. In that case, everything was in Laura, like is a green Fab Lab, and the first one that I explained, it was in the classroom, in the school. So this is also important to understand that the engagement was different also. Okay, in Laura is easy. Everything that we do in Laura works perfect. But when we are in the school and we do just 1 or 2 a week, you should engage in each session the students. And it is also important as an educator or designer of training activities. Think about this, about the environment, and how to engage them. Okay, and this is the filling out our environment. Okay, it's close with the idea. We work with the idea of how data, the personal data, or how we as a person, we are generating data. Okay, of course. And in that case was in non-formal education with 22 kids with some difficulties. They are between 10 and 13 years old, and it was in summer. So we work with the idea of how using digital fabrication, how using data, we can build a community. In that case, the goal was, can we create a community with these kids that maybe they don't know each other because it was at the beginning? How can we do this? And the idea was using the emotions and link it to the ice cream. So we decided to, okay, let's gonna do ice cream, and they were super happy with this. Okay, but how we are gonna create this with data, with emotion? So we link a color with a feeling, in that case, sad, happiness, to be impatient, to be proud, and each color is linked to a fruit. Okay, and that's the way we design the ice cream. Okay, and then we give them a canvas, so they should fill with a color linked to a feeling. What was the feeling that they have at this moment the day before? So, for example, if it was red, means that the kid was happy at this moment. So in 24 hours, you have different feelings and different moments. So it was the framework that we use to then design the ice cream. In that case, also the shape of the ice cream was important because each part of the shape is linked to the skills that they have. Okay, the personal skills, like to be entrepreneur, if they feel they are entrepreneur, or they take risks in their decisions. So they design this shape based on these skills. Then we create some molding and casting process with silicons based on the shape that they design. Also, they create the ice cream with the mixing based on the canvas, mixing the juice related with the filling. I don't know if I explained this well, but for example, if you can see red, means that they were happy. Okay. Then also they design some of the stickers. Okay. And then the last moment was super nice because the molding part, they should share and taste. Okay. So at the end, you are using the same ingredients, no? You are using the creativity, the digital fabrication, you are using the coding, because in that case, they should document the experience coding and a project in Scratch. But that's the skills, not the goal. The goal was, okay, let's go design. The main goal was, let's go create community. How? Designing personalized ice creams. Yeah. Sandy, you want to say something?
No, it's okay. And maybe we can put like a little bit of the
of that? Okay. Okay, I can hear
Of
Gloria.
the community that we was working on, because I mean, this was an after school programs, but also we had the challenge here that the community of kids, while we was working with an organization with some like kids with difficulties at home. So we had that challenge. A part of building a community, they are kids that are a lot of like self-made, let's say. So we have to engage them in working in teams, and also create something that they will make proud of themselves, in order to then like show to, let's say, to the parents, and start building a community over or more than them. It's like not just them. First was them, and then how, if they learn this skill of making like ice creams, maybe the idea was, can they share this new skill with the parents and let's say educators around this organization, and can we start creating like a kind of like a community there, more than just a summer school, things like this. And that was a little bit the challenge that we tried to face it here. And this is why we the shape of the ice cream was based on the skills that they have.
Okay, I think we still have time, no, Andre? Yeah.
Yeah. We have time. Maybe
Okay,
more 10 minutes, and then we'll go to Q&A. No,
Okay.
Does it work for you?
Yeah, perfect. Then we are gonna go
Okay.
fast. Okay, this project was super nice because it's an example of community project. We start building this project with a community here in the neighborhood of Poblano, with a school, and with the idea of create a art installation for the Off June Festival. This is a festival here in Barcelona related with the light. So then we decide to create an art installation where the kids can work with, can imagine a story and represent this with playing with light and with recycled material that they have at home. Okay, we create this framework, more or less. This was we create some guides, tutorial resources in a website. We did a super small training with the teachers and also with the families of this school, but they work completely autonomous in the school during the process. So they start building these boxes. So first they create the story, and then they represent it in these boxes. Okay, as you can see here,
you can be honest with them. I mean, this was also our experiment in terms of, can we give them like a challenge, you know, parents and school, and engage them in a way that they can do it like kind of like in autonomous way. And it was working very, very well. I mean, the parents did a great job. They figured out all the components that they need. So all LEDs, everything that you see here for creating these more than 50, let's say, light boxes. This was basically from, let's say, connections. Some of them, a parent that works on a, let's say, cardboard factory, give them the cardboard boxes, and then some other parents make a call for the LED strips. They met like at home later, soldering all the strips. So, and this was, we didn't want it to be part or not part, like be the ones that have to push to everything happens. So we wanted to, let's say, support them, but without having like this, let's say, responsibility, because it was part also of that, let's say, our, let's say, pilot, let's say, to let's make a project that empowers them enough for, you know, they like for the continuity of this kind of activities after that one. And it was working very well. Honestly, I mean, we had our, let's say, fears and things like this, but at the end, it was very successful. Each group of 2 kids create a story that they represented in these boxes, and then we collect all of them in the two days before, let's say, the Off June Festival. We record this voice from the kids for each story, and we create like kind of like art installation where everybody can see like let's say the front and the back part of these boxes that are, let's say, where the magic happens. So you see, let's say, the projections, and then you see how these projections are made. That I think so it's part of the.
Yeah, and for me, it was the perfect project because we build this community between them, us, and then with the kids, and the kids with the parents, and the parents with the teachers, and everybody working for the same goal. And for the sustainability of the project, that is a key point, because you cannot be as a Fab Lab in a school forever. You should try to create, to build these skills, give them some tips, and then give some resources in order that when you are not when you are not in the school, they can continue with this. And the project was super nice. In the installation, more than 3,000 people come to the Fab Lab to visit this. So it was super nice. But suddenly, okay, of course, we did some reflection about this. But suddenly the COVID appears. And then someone from a living lab in Barcelona, Laia from the City Lab, that is a living lab here in Barcelona, she told me, hey, what can we do in order to stop the curve? Okay, so people can be at home, but also the kids, how can the kids can express their feelings, their emotion at this moment? That was super difficult. Okay, that kids at home, they cannot do something. So we try to apply the same project, the playing with light, and then we create we did a call. Okay, who wants to participate? And then 20 people around Spain that I don't know. I know some of them, but not all of them. Start participating to building this. Okay, how can we apply this in a school? How can we apply at home? Which are the materials that we have at home that they can apply to use these? They can use to design their own stories and then share it. This and was also super cool because it was an opportunity for us to start the communication with the Tinkering Studio in San Francisco. So they saw the call and they said us, hey, can we participate? So then we create this playing with light call that in social media, if you click in the hashtag playing with light, you can see that a lot of contributions are on the wall. So something that start, what I want to explain is something that start as a project locally in the neighborhood, now it's a global project with the idea, with the same idea, learn, playing, learn, and then also express your emotion with something. That is also something that we try to apply in all the projects: emotion, learning, and community. Okay. We create some resources and toolkits that you can find, and also we create a website at the end. And we have more than 2,000 interaction, 2,000 interaction in the social media, more than 400 proposals from the people around the world. From Portugal, we translate this in Portuguese, in English, in Catalan, in Spanish, also in Galician. So it was super nice project, and also with this idea that can connect people around the world with the same goal. Okay, in the COVID situation, which is not easy. Okay, and then the last part, some open learning products that we have designed. Of course, the first one was the Smart Citizen Kit. In that case, we put it here because we didn't design as a FLU team. It was the sensing team that designed this, but we used this product as an educational tool to understand data, to understand what does it mean the environmental issues. What does it mean create noise? What does it mean, I don't know, whatever. So a Smart Citizen Kit is something that is open, that you can find the designs, but also you can have one and share the information with the rest of the community. Then we have the pop-up lab that Santi designed. Maybe Santi, you can explain this better.
Yeah, well, that was one of my first projects in the Fab Lab, and as usually happens, so I did it just, let's say, from at the beginning, from my only, let's say, from my benefit, let's say, because at some point when I started collaborating with the Fablab Barcelona, I was the ones that went to the fairs, and basically I was moving with some Fab Lab tools and machines. So, and I start like facing all the problems that you have when you try to basically go to a place and set up a fab lab, mini fab lab, or whatever you want to call it, like in a table or whatever. So we wanted something that engage people and also like looks as a, you know, as a something kind of like designed expressed to basically be as it is. So at that time of course there's the Fab Labs in a track and things like this, but we wanted something even more flexible than this. So this idea of modularity, this is not something new, let's say. There's a lot of Fab Labs that approach the same idea, but this idea of like a model that contains like digital technologies, digital fabrication technologies, and then you can build it like you can add more models. It depends of what you want to do and what are your projects. It starts here, and it starts like with a really like kind of like square boxes, but nowadays we have like a version for schools that probably we don't have the image, let's say.
I have the image, but when we move to the social media.
Okay. But anyway, I mean, it allows us a little bit of the same as a smart citizen. So we are trying to also make it even more accessible, the technology, let's say.
Yeah.
And maybe nowadays, before it was a little bit like expensive, let's say, but nowadays you can have like a mini Fab Lab, let's say, for, you know, let's say super affordable, let's say, in terms of money, and rethinking for a school environment. It's something that helps like educational systems to, you know, at least like believe a little bit more in everything, no? Especially in the maker point of view.
The idea that are modular, it's super nice for the schools because they can share in the classroom. So at some moment they can have all the modules together, but at some moment one classroom can have the 3D printed module and another can have the vinyl cutter, for example, and they can work alone, but at some moment they can go together with this. So this is nice.
Yeah.
Also, the simple personal mobile app.
Yeah. This is something that we did it, let's say, thanks to COVID situation. So we faced the problem that we had like our Fab Academy students and also the MDF, the Master Design Emergent Features, at home. We wanted them to explore about digital fabrication, let's say, and continue learning. So we came up with an idea of why we cannot like prototype and design a CNC machine for 60 euros. And this is the result. So it's in the, let's say, development phase. So we are almost there. I mean, all the electronics part, it works. And the mechanical part, we are missing some few components. But as soon as we have it, we will have like something that we are not ambition to be like a machine for fabricate. We used to say like, this is a, we make the joke that it's more an educational tool. It's for learning digital fabrication principles, let's say, as you are building this machine. And it's, I mean, we designed the electronics, and with the you will find it in the repo that it should be here, and if it's not, we will send it.
Then
and this is
go
sorry,
ahead.
Xavier, if you want to say, let's do.
No, go ahead.
Well, that's another experience that we did this year in terms of facilitating. So how can we bring the, let's say, students to the lab to fabricate? We face it, or we say, okay, how can we explain all the digital fabrication process with the materials that we have at home? And we did this, for example, with the molding and casting. So we try to do bio or do, let's say, the molding process with the materials that you have in home. We also try to do it with some electronics, but how can they basically fabricate with the machine remotely? And this was the project that we did it here. So we built it before this, let's say, 3-axis machine, and we turned it in a kind of like sand drawer machine. and we connected uh, with a with a Raspberry Pi in a system that basically students can connect remotely and they can send G codes to the machine from home, and in that way they can basically draw. And the nice thing, let's say, I would say it's not about, let's say, the technology point of view that you can control remotely a machine, is the way that we was trying to approach the experience of everybody connected from home, contributing to an, let's say, um, product, if you want to call it like this, or outcome. Because the idea was not like each student will do just drawing. What we expected to happen is that students start or send a G code, create let's say a drawing. It had two cameras where you can see it every time what's happening. And then another student can contribute to that drawing, sending something over. So in that way, we are creating a kind of like art installation, live art installation with the, let's say, contribution of all of the students. And it was making a little bit the difference at that moment with the students, because they used to basically learn during COVID situation with the things that they had at home. But here was one of the first times that they had this experience that they was basically creating something altogether, you know, contributing in small parts. So I will not say that maybe, I mean, there's a lot of improvement here, but again, everything is open source. You can see how we did it, but I will focus more in the learning approach than in the, let's say, capabilities of the machine. And that's let's say, one of our first products that we basically trying to, again, be have a tool to explain like interaction and also a little bit of electronics, to have like a small kit that we call it like Crocopoi, that basically it's an open source and super cheap, like makey, let's say. This was made it like 3-4 years ago, and the idea was everybody likes that project and that and that device, but it's kind of expensive for everybody, but it brings a lot of it have a lot of potential in a way that how you explain or introduce like electronics to everybody, interaction, input outputs. So why we cannot have something like make it from the Fablab world, let's say, cheaper, that breaks, you know, this difference between, you know, what you want and what you can get, let's say. And that was the Kirkopoid idea. And then, of course, then we ambition to put it like also like create a complete like system where, you know, you have a kind of like game machine with some arrows that you can play like games or whatever. So.
And that's all. Finally, that's all, Andre. I don't know.
No, not finally. It's just that maybe you also want to show some images in the social networks. No, you told us that.
Yeah, maybe if we go to the.
Yeah, and we can also do Q&A at the same time. I think it's a good excuse to jump to social networks.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to leave questions here or on YouTube, we have already a few questions from someone that already left the room because he said sorry, and yeah. Okay. Lab Aberto Fablab in Portugal says hello. This is excellent work. Okay, they are watching from YouTube. I think there was some connection issues. I don't know why. Maybe the password or something, or maybe the email from Eventbrite arrived late. You know, I think that might happen. Yeah. So one question. If is there already a repository, if you have it, if you have this mini CNC machine all-purpose already documented elsewhere. So if you can point there, or if you can leave it, send us the links, and then we'll share it with the attendees afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there one?
Yeah, there's two. One for the CNC by the sea, and another one for the, let's say, SPML. So the two images that we are seeing here. Maybe where should I
think they're referring to the mini one, to the orange one, the one we used in the to illustrate
so, yeah, it's in the, let's say, it's in the bio of Instagram account. But anyway, I can put it on the, can I send it over the chat, or
this is the,
oh, you go directly to the GitLab there. Okay.
Yeah. So if you have the link here in our social media in Instagram.
Maybe you can click, Xavi, and you can.
No, I already click.
Okay.
Yeah.
Trying to open. Yeah.
Yeah, don't worry, but then it's.
Yeah, let's see.
It's answered.
Okay.
Yeah, and please, like as much contribution will grow fast. Let's say.
Okay. Is it your own Git, or no? It's GitLab.com. Okay, Fablab projects. Okay.
Yeah. And probably the rest are here, no?
It's not on the Fab Git cloud.
No, this is in the GitLab. Yeah.
GitLab.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, okay. What else?
It's going slow.
Yeah.
Don't worry. It's there. It's
maybe
answered.
we can explain, or Xavi,
they said thanks, so they got it. Yeah.
Maybe you can explain the pop-up lab. There's some images in the Instagram account.
Yeah, we would. Yeah, that relates a lot to our call and what we are aiming at. So maybe you should.
Yeah, go. Give me a moment that I go directly to this. Sorry.
Wait. This is another interesting project if you are interested in biomaterials and basically turn your 3D printer in a kind of bio printer.
Okay.
We did this it's not experiment. So we did this project basically because in the EAC and Fablab, there's a lot of people like interested in printing. So at the end, we turned a normal 3D printer, a small one, let's say, in a let's say plaster printer, and you can find all of these materials from one of, let's say, the employees, let's say, that is Eduardo Chamorro, that is the one that is designing all of these tools. But I don't know if we have the link here for the repo, but it's also, you can find it on the repo.
Yeah.
I will post it here.
Yeah, a moment that I find in the.
Probably this is going to be here. Oh, this is the last let's say design for the pop-up lab. It's like, as you can see, every time is smaller. No, because this one is specially designed for educational ecosystems or schools, let's say.
Settings, yeah.
So here there's a additive model that is a 3D printer, and then we have like the middle one is the vinyl cutter,
the silhouette.
Yeah, and then the last one is the electronics, and it have like let's say, I will not say all necessary, but it's you can do a lot of things with these three models, and we basically reduce it to make it like even like portable as we can, because sometimes we are moving with cars and not with let's say vans, and this is an extra problem. So we wanted to do something that fits, let's say, in a car, in the back part of a normal car, and also that's something that you can move between classes without being super heavy and having wheels or whatever. It's like this is the most portable one, and also a cheaper one, let's say. We can share with the people that is interested, let's say the inventory of what we have it inside. if someone is interested.
And also the design.
Yeah, in terms of the design, here we challenge ourselves because we wanted to break this idea of boxes, you know, made it in the Fab Lab. So we create some molds and we did this like carved, let's say, wooden like structures that it was kind of like challenging also for us. Yeah, the images are not very
to step away from the Fab Lab aesthetic of CNC cut.
Yeah, we
everything looks the same.
Yeah, we wanted to make it a little bit more attractive. For everybody.
Yeah, but it's how it is. As the machine, it's faster. Yeah, but,
exactly.
Yeah.
And so if someone is interested, please contact us or you, Andre, and you can contact us. We don't have a repository for this, but we can share all of our designs.
Yeah, the process
and inventory.
Yeah. It's very cool.
And then
I was going. There's a question from the beginning of your presentation from Jose Manuel Gonzalez, which is he asked you about the nature of the institutions you relate to. It's more like, are you mostly talking to private schools, or are you already in the school system, like the national school system, and making partnerships? And maybe I will add, how hard is that? You know?
Yeah, I mean, we are in the educational system. So it means that sometimes we work for private schools and sometimes we work for public schools. Okay. Sometimes we work for formal and non-formal. Sometimes we work from here in Barcelona, but also in the rest of Spain. So we are part of the educational system and we want to be part. Okay. And how difficult it is or not depends. At the end, there's no right answer. Depends on the people that are running these schools. So sometimes it's easy, the decision, because they have a super clear idea. We want this. Okay, perfect. Let's go for this. Sometimes we have the opportunity that we are part of the European projects. So then it's not a problem of budget. It's a problem just to find the right school to apply this.
I will say that this helps a lot.
It helps a lot, of course. If you bring the money, then it helps a lot. But sometimes it's not a problem of money. Sometimes it's a problem of trying to understand what is happening. And
no, this is what I'm saying. This is why when we say like our experiments with the Off-Lume Festival and with the school and the community, it was that one. It's like sometimes it's not a matter of money. And that project was made everything from recycle point of view, but we wanted to see if the energy from everybody was like, let's say, put it in the right direction. And it was like this, so it was very successful in that sense.
Yeah, the problem is that then you cannot do that forever, you know, like it's something that you engage people, but then you cannot use the same formula, or it doesn't apply to depends on the communities, no?
Yeah, that's why it's important to think in the moment that you are gonna be there. You are not gonna be there. What is gonna happen since the beginning? And another key point that I think that make easy the connection with the schools is if you bring the content, the methodology, then the teachers are super happy, because then also if you link this with the curricula, then it's perfect, because they say, okay, now I can apply this directly.
Yeah. One thing that we are very curious about, at least we don't know where it will take, and it's mostly, this call has a bit of an exploratory meaning also, because we don't know if the designers will also be parents, and they will be parenting and will be educators at the same time. So we don't know who's replying to and how. We don't know what to expect. We have these premises. We know that maybe 80% won't be like the exact fit, making education at home in the COVID setting, etc., because that's almost impossible. But we also want to see the level of dependence from you mentioned that in your presentation, the level of dependence from the Fab Lab structure. You know, it's easy to do it at the Fab Lab. At least it's easy to do it for these kind of small things, but it's very meaningful to do it outside at the school or at home. And in that sense, I think the experience you've shown kind of relates a little bit to all of these steps, but I don't know if you to turn this into a question, if you would challenge those who are applying for the call, what would be something that you would expect, or what would be like the main challenge of that you would pose? You know, it's a bit of open question, but I would like to hear that from you, because you'll be part of the jury.
So I think that the challenge now is, if you design something that you can use in the lab because you are with your instructor, but also that you can use in the lab when you are alone, in the lab or in a school, I'm thinking, or you can use it at home at the same way, then it's perfect. Because then the learning is going to happen, because you have the right tool. You can use it, and then even the COVID
cannot stop you.
Cannot stop you. Yeah. So that's the key point now.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't have to be the same tool, but the learning process should include these three stages or environments, let's say, and it should be designed explicit that for this thing happens. So each of them have to add value. It's not just there. I mean, sometimes it should not be homework, you know. It's like, okay, and at home you do homework. It's like, no, at home you take benefit to be at home and you do something that is minimal for the project, and then you incorporate it in the let's say Fablab. That also, it could be related to something bigger that it's in the school or in the university or in the something more like a public, let's say. And if you find a way to articulate these three spaces in a program or tool, I think so. Then we will be, let's say, in the right.
Yeah, that's an example for this. I mean, how to train in molding and casting if you are at home with materials you can use, with biomaterials, for example, no, that everybody has at home, and it's a way to an easy way to engage the people, because it's something that is fun and it's easy to do, and it's also we always call this the quick win, something that you can do easily. And you are sure that it's gonna work. That's the idea.
Yeah, yeah, this is a great example, especially the gelatin. I would say that the 3D printing can also be optional, no? Because course. You can have it or not. And but relating to this, you know, I don't know how it was in Spain, but here our children were at home, you know, having classes in television during the morning, and then having to do a huge amount of homework and having Zoom meetings with the teachers, even in the first grade. And the thing is that it was supposed that, or to be successful, it is supposed that you as a parent become also a teacher, you know, and that's technically impossible. So one of our challenges is, how can these kind of things release us from the burden of being a teacher and make us like this in-between figure that kind of helps, it brings content. And of course, we are talking about K-12, we're talking about under 12 children, but yeah, maybe there's a challenge specifically there, you know, like how can we release parenting because parents, even if I would say that even if a parent is a teacher, he won't be a teacher of his own child, you know,
yeah, and this is a special situation, because the COVID, you are not at home because you want, you are at home because you should be at home. So then the challenge could be try to design something that at some moment during the day, not for always, at some moment you can engage the kid and also the family, the parents.
Yeah.
And again, this example of the molding and casting could be something, because it's something that you can do, all the family can do this.
Yeah.
It's something that you don't need a lot of time, so you can do it fast, and you can do whatever you want. So
yeah. when I say technically, I also say in terms of professional life, because not all the families could go home, you know, like also. And then we also need to stand the kind of do it alone, do it yourself and do it alone kind of strategies. And if there's one that comes from the Fab Lab, that's also cool, or from the Fab Lab community. Sorry, Santi, you were saying.
No. I was just wanted to point, like, from the experience of the second part of the Light Up Your Days. For me, it was kind of surprising. One of the members of the, let's say, community champions, or the first, like the 20 first people that, you know, join, and we create this. Basically, we create the, let's say, the resources and things like this. When we launch the challenge, let's say, globally, let's say, on the network, we say, okay, we will be the first one to, you know, contribute, because we have to engage like everybody, no? So all of us, we more or less like did our version and post it and things like this. And I don't know if you remember, Xavi, that the ones that did all the infographics and things like this took like a lot to post something, you know, her contribution. And she did it like, I don't know, after let's say a month, more or less.
Yeah.
And she say, I'm so sorry to be late, but even if I'm one of the community champions and I'm one of the first one that I wanted to contribute to the project with my kids, let's say, I had to, you know, make it like, how she say, like, I had to basically do it like super slow in the moment that we was engaging doing that thing, and not because we had to do it. So even kids and parents should find the proper time, or the right time to do it, even if she was one of the, let's say, the leaders of that thing. And it was make me think a lot, like, yeah, I mean, situations at home are very difficult, very diverse, let's say. And another thing we learned from that experience is that even if, I mean, we started with an idea of challenge and we end up with, let's say, with the concepts on the top, but how the people was, let's say, the outcomes of what the people was doing, it was totally, let's say, different of what we expected. So we expected people doing boxes, you know, to explain like story, and we end up like people playing with you know, shadows. And it doesn't matter which surface, doesn't matter how. And this is because we noticed that it was too much for them. Even if we built it like an instructions, how to do it step by step, how to link it, whatever, it was too much for them. So we was asking families and kids to spend too much time in that one. So we had to break it in small parts, let's say, and make it them like even like more like explore and fun. At least that one, that experience, it's a learning outcome out of and that. And then, yeah, maybe if we are talking about remote like learning, something nice that we was mentioned with some other educators, that one of them was saying like, sometimes when I'm doing like workshops online, so when I have like a lot of, let's say, different kids on the Zoom or in Zoom, you know, and we try to do one activity together. Let's do this thing, and everybody do it by their own. He was mentioned that sometimes he didn't know what was happening outside or in the other side of the screen, let's say, because the kids like they turn off the camera for an hour. They was working like individually in their own, like, let's say space, let's say, and suddenly when maybe the activity was almost done or whatever, they pop up and they say, oh, look what I did. And they was working, but they was working in their own way. So we expect like the workshops happen, you know, in the conditions that we usually do, that is in the same space, everybody doing things, moderating like, or facilitating like, more like, you know, standard like workshops or classes. And maybe the way that we have to approach like this, like distributed learning or online like learning, it should be a little bit different. It should be like more like disconnected, or not like let's say,
yeah,
everybody in the same time. I mean, I don't know. It's challenging, but interesting.
Can be asynchronous too, like pass the
Yeah,
word, like
I
I
mean,
give something like this, almost itinerant, like
yeah,
a class that goes to a house, then goes to another, then goes to another, then goes to another, and you keep
yeah, I
adding,
mean,
adding stuff.
of course, then you have other problems, as how do you, let's say, facilitate an asynchronous, like not facilitate, but give answer to everybody or support everybody.
Yeah, manage that.
If everything can happens anytime, you know, and then everywhere. But well, I thought that it was interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So one last question, because we already like over past the hour. Nuno Monge, he's asking, he says congrats. It's a general feeling, so I have like lots of, hey guys, great presentation, this is excellent, congrats for the great work. So congratulations,
thank you.
That's the most of the feedback. But yeah, regarding school teachers that you work with, yeah, he said, I can imagine that you work a lot with art teachers and robotic club kind of teachers. I don't know if he's right or not, but yes, what about the other contents? Now, how do you relate to like these hard contents, like let's call it hard, like math, languages, history, geography, and so on, like the didactics, the formal didactics?
I think that we didn't work a lot with robotic teachers.
No,
And it's part of our goal. Eh?
They play by themselves.
Probably yes, but with them it's easy because they are already engaged.
Yeah.
And our goal, and as a research group, we try to go always with the dark side of the schools. And I can remember now, for example, last year we did a project with a global community of schools that's called Salle, and as a mandatory, we told them that they should bring teachers from humanities, okay? And at the beginning, of course, the first day, I remember the face of the teachers, that they say, "What is this? Why we should do this?" But at the end of the program, they were super happy because they understand why they should use the technology. Okay, how can they use the technology for as a benefit for them? Okay, and that's the key point. And for this, the only receipt that you have is giving a lot of support at the beginning. Okay, what do you want to do? This? Okay, I'm gonna show you how to do this, and then explain and show different ideas and give inspiration to them related with this, because of course at the beginning everybody says, okay, you are the guys from the robotics. Okay, and we say, no, we are not these guys. And also with the school, the pilot that I show you, and the teacher were from the entrepreneur, and they have an entrepreneur subject, entrepreneurship subject, and the teachers were from there. They are not technologists. Okay, so at the beginning it's difficult, but if you support them a lot, they at the end they find the why they should use the technology of the maker education.
Okay, so let's just wrap up. Can I take your video you're sharing out?
Yeah, of course.
Just to,
sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Cool.
Sorry.
Yeah, so just to wrap up and finish this, thank you very much. Thank you for your insights and inspiration. I'm sure, let's see how these designers and educators what they will come up with. I hope a lot of stuff. We'll keep in touch, of course, throughout the call. And yeah, thank you very much. It was really, really, really important to have this, and it's really, really important to keep this in our archive for future record and for future interactions. about the call, and looking forward to have your collaboration throughout the call, and especially on the jury. And yeah, let's keep in
Perfect.
touch. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Andrea,
Yeah,
thank
my
you for
pleasure.
inviting us.
Yeah, bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye all. Bye all. Thank you for all the attendees too. Yeah.
Thanks for
And
inviting
for
us.
all people in YouTube. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.